And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 68 of the Sling'N podcast. I'm TJ.
And I'm Kent.
And joining us tonight for his Sling'N podcast debut, Brannon LaBeouf.
Jesus, man, we talked about this.
I got it right some way, right? Let's just roll the dice and get whatever vowel sound comes out. Brannon, seriously, thank you for joining us on the show. One of the things we like to start off every show with is giving our guests an opportunity to introduce themselves both behind the gun and when not on the range. So, Brannon, for those listening at home and on the podcast players around the world, please tell us, who the hell are you?
Word. Well, first off, it's Brannon LaBeouf, just, as a point of fact, but I'll take the beef. That'll work too. 43 years old, favorite color is blue, like long walks on the park, preferably with a female, but, you take what you can get with COVID and all. No, I live down here in the sprawling metropolis of New Orleans. Have a little shooting range and gun store, St. Bernard Indoor Shooting Center. Done the traveling instructor thing and still do it here and there, but got some different irons in the fire with training. Been a cop for a while, did the military thing in the Marine Corps, did the private contracting thing for a while. Right now, I'm kind of focusing more on instructor development, kind of helping more instructors because I can only train so many people, but if I can, in a very non-sexual way, inject my DNA into other people, I proliferate that knowledge at a little bit faster rate. So, but that's probably me in a nutshell.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you. Kent, what is new with you, man?
Just did another handgun fundamentals one-dayer. And once again, more chicks than dudes, and I'm not trying that. So that's one of them things. Everybody's saying ladies aren't taking firearms training, and we need to offer special ladies firearms classes and blah, 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 blah. Man, we're just doing what we're doing, and we're getting the ladies to come out just as it is. So I had a good group of students out on the range. Learning occurred. Private lessons were booked afterwards, and even a couple of, the next class kind of deals. So that's cool. Still doing the adjunct professor thing and occasionally do real work. Very little real work, really, but I do what I can. How about you, man? You, at this point, are you still fighting the Russian hackers, or have they left you alone?
Dude, every day. I swear to God. Look, all right, listen, we're going to go non-firearm for a second. If you are responsible for a network environment, please, for the love of God, can you wait until like the middle of the day to call me with a problem that you need help solve? It never fails. It's either 4:30 or 4:45 at the end of the day when we're all watching the clock ready to go the hell home, or it's 9 o'clock at night on a Friday.
Yeah, well, the hackers don't hack at noon on Tuesday.
Well, what is that in like India/Russian time?
Yes.
It might be their noon.
Oh, see?
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just asking the people that are being attacked to hold them at bay for a more opportune moment.
Can you turn it off and on a couple of times and see if that works?
Did they try unplugging it and plugging it back in? Is it connected to a power source?
Did you drop it from a height of 6 inches yet?
Right. All these things need to be tested. But luckily right now things are relatively calm. I'm not going to use the Q word, but they're calm. Because as soon as I say the Q word, I'm going to get screwed. So, no, I'm not going to say it. So I'm going to let you just pretend. You can go down your list of Q in the dictionary. You'll figure it out. But with that being said, Brannon, so tell us a little bit more about your training company. What is it that you like to focus on? What's kind of your bread and butter? Where are some areas where you maybe venture out from those core training concepts? Tell us more about what your course offerings look like.
Sure. Like I said, my business kind of taken a little bit of a turn the last couple of years, but I did the whole traveling thing and teaching handgun, carbine classes, kind of the tactical classes thing. Probably my area of focus would be more kind of concealed carry, individual stuff, but of course, done and occasionally still do like a law enforcement contract class or something like that. I don't travel nearly as much as I used to because, of course, I have my indoor range and I'm kind of the day job type thing. Out of that, we're probably, I'm going to go and say probably number one, if not in the top three, volume wise of doing concealed carry permit classes in Louisiana. That's something that I'm kind of known for, and I've kind of carved my niche locally. Then from there, we also do, trauma medicine classes. We do occasionally do some women's self-defense classes. it's just getting those scheduled and done. It's one of those things everybody asks for it. Then when you schedule it, nobody shows up kind of deal. So generally find a group that wants it, schedule it, and then add to it. But that's been being requested more lately. And then what we really do most out of the range, other than the concealed handgun classes, are the private instruction. We've kind of built it more of like a personal training model where we find people get the most, bang for their buck, so to speak, in that time frame because they're able to work at their pace. They get focused attention. And over the last year with COVID and everything, the type of people we've seen coming in wanting to get training, it's just a different mindset. So they're not someone that I would take out of a concealed carry class and throw into like a 2-day or even a 1-day like defensive shooting class. There's too much of a gap still there, to do. So we had an outdoor range a couple years ago, and we would obviously we host classes, and we still host them now. We just use another facility. So we host, everybody from Pat McNamara's, Scott Jelinski, Bill Blowers, just different people we try to cycle through. Kind of my general formula is as soon as somebody pops up that I haven't trained with yet and I want to take a class, I host them. And then if I like them, we kind of bring them back and cycle them through. But right now, really, our main thing is we have the Nolatac Veterans Training Program, which is not only for veterans, but it's geared and marketed towards veterans. We have 2 programs that are approved for veterans to utilize their GI Bill and other educational benefits to pay for. The first of which is a 3-month private security guard academy. So think of like a police academy, but specifically for private security guards, because in Louisiana, it takes a whopping 24 hours of training to be an armed security guard. So this is a 270-hour academy modeled after a police academy. So it's really for people who want to like start a security company or, enter in at a supervisory level. And then actually right now we have the first cohort going of the Professional Firearms Educators Program, which is a 6-month program. They come to class 2 days a week, and they have all the NRA instructor disciplines, USCCA, trauma. There's a 6-week core business school that all of our programs take. So they don't learn how to form a business. They actually form a business, form an LLC, get a logo, like everything, social media. So they do that. Very, very in-depth legal, which is kind of my personal little niche, about self-defense, Louisiana self-defense and gun-related law. So that when they're done, they're in a position to start a firearms training business. I call it a bachelor's degree in being a firearms instructor. Those 2 programs are approved. And then we have a follow-on program, which is the Firearms Instructor Trainer Program, which basically makes them an NRA and a USCCA training counselor so they can teach the instructor level classes. That's a 12-month program, and they basically now step back and teach the next 2 cohorts of the program they just took. And then the kind of crowning jewel would be our defensive instructor program, defensive firearms trainer program, which probably won't roll out to the beginning of 2023 because we really need an outdoor range to do that. But that is a PhD level, no expense spared. Like every instructor I've known professionally, like if I won the lottery, like what would I make it? I'm God, I get to pick it type thing. And that's a 18-month program that in the first 12 months, in addition to coming to class 2 days a week and the business part and all of that, 2 weekends of each month, you're taking a tactical class in everything: handgun, shotgun, carbine, low light, combatives, driving, force on force, night vision, everything you can think of. And you may take 7 handgun classes, but it's from 7 different my handgun class, your handgun class, Scott's handgun, everybody. So it's designed to give someone an actual bedrock of knowledge to pull from to build their curriculum rather than just trying to copy someone else's stuff. I kind of equate it to being a musician. Like if you play music and someone says, you sound just like X, you have failed. You're copying. But someone should be able to pick out different artists that you kind of sound like. That's showing you're influenced by them, which is what we all are doing if you're doing it correctly. So they do that for the first 12 months. And in the last 6 months, they drop down to one of those classes a month. And now they're building their curriculum. So they have to build a 1-day program and a 2-day program on 2 completely different topics. It's peer vetted, it's staff vetted. Then they have to do everything from building target stands to teaching the class, marketing and promoting it in order to graduate. And it's run like a bachelor's, master's, PhD program where like the PhD, they have to test in, test out, or review board in and out. Like it's pretty legit. But that's kind of where my focus is at now, more just because while I still enjoy teaching classes, I found as I've gotten older and more mature and been influenced by more people, my strength kind of lies more in kind of the mentoring side of younger instructors. So if I teach 700 people CHP this year, that's awesome. But if I teach 70 instructors and they teach 500 people next year, that's a whole lot more people that have my tactical DNA, if you will, because that guy was influenced by me and those students will be influenced by him. So they're getting some of my lineage in them, which comes from everybody else in the industry. I think that's a more efficient and effective way of getting good information out than just trying to kind of hoard, my little nucleus of people. So that's like the main thing we're focused on right now.
Kind of reminds me of the coaching tree in the NFL. Like how many? All right, but
I'm like the only dude that don't do the dribble bounce and defeats ball. Like I don't know.
Well, let me give you a quick analogy. Everybody in the world knows the same offense. Whether they all work together is irrelevant. The guy that came up with it matriculated its way through all these different coaches and players and teams. So 30 years from now, there will be a piece of that coach or that guy still on a field somewhere. That's kind of where you're headed with this. So that's
so many formulas.
That's an analogy I have for you.
But real quick, I just want to comment, Brannon, that is probably the most well thought out program for instructor development that I have heard.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. It started because there was a guy before me who did it, and he was using my facilities. And he's someone I consider in many ways a kind of a mentor of mine in different things. And the execution was off. So I'm seeing this happen. And I was going to buy the company, but then that didn't work out, thankfully. And finally, I was like, wait a minute, I can do this myself. So I took everything and just plugged the holes. And then when I thought I had something that was just amazing, I reached out to 3 different, because a lot of it is NRA based in the first program. So I reached out to 3 other training counselors that I knew from other parts of the country and said, hey, listen, I want y'all to come down to New Orleans. Let me present this to you. Tell me what you think and give me some advice on it. So these 3 guys came down. Actually, 5 of them came down. And I walked in about 2 hours, explained to them everything, gave them the paperwork. It's like, all right, I'm going to go sit in my office. Y'all call me when you're ready to talk to me. So in about 4 hours, I walked in. And when I tell you they had completely slaughtered everything I had worked on. And I was like, it was a fucking orgy in there. I was like, what the fuck? But it was 10 times better than what I had thought of. Just the things I was like, why didn't I think of that? And I think that's where in the training industry, a lot of things get bad. There's a lot of incestuous knowledge, meaning like it stays so internal that it gets corrupted. It's like a file. It just, if you keep fucking replicating it, it eventually gets corrupted. And you never owned it in the first place. So how can you get pissed? Like, that just does not compute to me. So rather, I'm more of like the free exchange of it. So I was like, look, dude, now there's kind of a integrity element of it. If like, my thing is the trigger has to move to the rear without moving the fucking muzzle. At the end of the day, no matter how you say it, that has to occur. You can't change physics just because you come up with super tactical strategic solutions partners. Like, the same shit has to happen. It's more, we're all baking chocolate cakes here. Your recipe and my recipe is just a little bit different, but it should still be a chocolate cake at the end. So you can't claim you invented the cake. You just got your recipe of it. So I think when we open ourselves up, because I mean, I thought I was proud of what I did. And when these guys came and tore it apart, I was like, oh, what the hell? But what they did was so much better than what I could think of on my own. And if you don't do that, either yourself as a student and open yourself up to other instructors, because what a lot of people do is they're what I call they're guru chasers. So like generally the first person that a student takes a class with, that they attach that person. I'll take 3 or 4 classes from them before they learn enough to know that person doesn't know everything they need to know. Then but they're comfortable. So it's getting enough knowledge to feel comfortable stepping out of your comfort zone. And even as instructors, sometimes we do that. let's be honest, everybody likes an echo chamber. I mean, it makes you feel good. It strokes your ego. That's a human thing. That it is what it is. It's a maturity thing. That's the difference between knowledge and wiseness. There's a wisdom. There's a lot of knowledgeable guys out there. There's not a whole lot of wise instructors. You generally see it in the old instructors because generally it takes time to be wise. And that's what we see is there's a lot of guys that, especially with Iraq, Afghanistan, all the stuff that's happened over the last 20 years, there's dudes with technical knowledge without a doubt, but they lack sometimes the wisdom to translate it to now the rest of the populace, that's not in a SEAL team or, hanging off the bottom of a, little bird.
So I have a question for you. What was I'm going to call it accreditation process, or lack of a better term, to get funding from, VA and all that kind of stuff? That can't be
no,
that can't be easy.
Well, dealing with the federal government, well, actually, you have to deal with the federal and the state government because there's like a federal VA and there's a state VA rep that you got to kind of work through. And it's not funding like they give you money. It's just this is just to get them to approve your course, to allow it to be available to veterans. So the other additional obstacle I had was the program that preceded mine, that mine was roughly based off of. Like I said, okay, I'm gonna make a chocolate cake. Like just was based off of, and then I completely redesigned it. Had some issues, like legally, and just the way they like it left a bad taste in the VA's mouth. Because again, remember, at the end of the day, we're talking about something firearm specific. Okay, so that in and of itself makes it a little, So the first thing I did, as I do with most things in life, is I just hit it head on, and I was like, look, hey, we all know this guy. This is what happened. Here's the deal. The reason I'm doing this is because of the things he didn't do. I see ways this can be better. I think there's value in the program. It just needs to be executed better. I know what he did. I know everything. I'm not doing that. So let's just get that elephant slaughtered right now. And then you just have to supply stuff. And it's like, it was just a lot of upkeep because I'm a kind of let's get things done kind of guy. And the government doesn't quite move at my pace. So it's the follow up and things. And then I'm also a very legally knowledgeable person. And the VA works in the realm of policies and procedures and not, but they think they're laws when they're not. So it's getting these guys to understand that, okay, you have to define words. So when you say the program has to have been in existence for 2 years, are you talking about the program? And what is a program? What you mean is the company. Because when I read it here, this is what, so it's like, but at the same time, at the end of the day, you have to be able to interact with this person. So you can't just butt heads. So there's a lot of interpersonal communication elements that come into play. It was about, all told, I'm guessing about a 1 year process, but I had someone helping me, meaning I had someone who had already done it, kind of giving me some guidance and for lack of a better term, consulting me. So it's not like I just, and that guy had blazed a trail and figured it out. Everything up to talking at NRA annual meeting. I mean, just like he brought, to use a sports analogy, he brought the ball to the 90-yard line. And I'm like, all right, dude, you're done. I got it these last 10 yards. And after that, it's maintaining it because all they really care about is they want to make sure that they're in the business of saying yes, theoretically. Their job is to vet programs that are of value to veterans. So what they're really doing is like, is this a scam? Is that a scam? Once they realize it's not, because they've had experienced so many scams, then you got buy-in. So basically, I had them come down to my business. I talked both the state guy and the federal guy to come. Fortunately, the federal guy is actually located in Louisiana, for the Louisiana rep guys in Louisiana. So they both came to my place, and I just laid it out, man. And it was like, here's the deal. And they realized they could, I think, sense my passion, dedication to it. And the other thing is, I am a veteran. The guy who they had issues with was not. And I just think there was a little bit of a disconnect there. So it was a little bit of a trial for me because I'm more of a, hey, do this because it makes sense. But not everybody does things because it makes sense. Some people have to be convinced. So once you can figure out a person's motivations, then you can direct a conversation that it meets their motivations, and that's how you get done what you want to get done.
So just so I'm clear, somebody can use GI Bill funding to pay for this?
Yep. Right now we're approved to accept pretty much every version of GI Bill. Also, Disabled veterans who have vocational rehab resources can utilize that. Probably by, with COVID, it kind of jacked up some timelines, but probably by the end of the year, realistically, we'll be approved. We'll be regionally accredited. Like we are a university, like just like LSU or anything else. Right now, we're a vocational place. So by the end of the year, we should be regionally accredited so that we can accept all student financial aid. So if you got a Pell Grant, you get student loans, any of that, we'll be able to accept it just like any other university. So we call it the Nolatac Veterans Training Program because that's how it's marketed and how it's kind of designed. But in fact, one of the VA rules is we have to have a minimum of 15% of the enrollment has to be they can be veterans, but they have to be non-VA funded. Like I can't have a class with 100% people being paid with GI Bill. And the intent of that, it's a little convoluted, but you got to remember, anytime there's a government pool of money, there are people trying to manipulate that system to get it. So in the beginning, when VA started paying for all this stuff other than traditional degree programs, you had guys billing like $5 million to get a helicopter's pilot's license because there was no ceiling. They just sent an invoice. So once they had to start rallying that in, then they had to start setting parameters, and that's kind of what happened. So, yeah, I mean, it's once you're in and you're showing them that, hey, I'm being honest, and there's obviously a lot of bookkeeping and records and stuff that has to be there for VA, but that's all stuff you do in a legitimate program anyway. So it's not anything really crazy. It's just getting your mind wrapped around that. And of course, their whole computer system for getting paid and getting everything in is, written by some, third grader in MS Paint in 1986. So it's like, I think it still prints on like a dot matrix printer. Like it's insane, but you learn to deal with it.
So we got a question from chat. Don wants to know, how does federal aid work in terms of employment following completion of the program?
So first off, to my knowledge at this time, we are the only active program in the country that does anything that accepts GI Bill money for anything firearms related other than gunsmithing. You got Sonoran Desert Institute that has a very solid program. So it's really within that. If you're talking about like job placement, it's within the realm of that institution, if you will. So I have an indoor range and gun store. The benefit to me, like the Nolatac side of this, or I should say the St. Bernard indoor side of this, is I get to watch these. It's basically a 6-month job interview. I get to watch these dudes for 6 months, and I know the quality of their training because I've provided it. So this is the first cohort we have. We have 7 guys in it. There's a high probability that most of those guys will be hired in one of 2 ways. As things continue to grow, I'm going to need actual staff on the school side, we'll call it. So some of those dudes will obviously fall back and start being administrating the school side. Then we always have slots open up in the range, just, range staff stuff. In fact, there's one guy in it that is on our, what I call our work study program. So because they're 2 separate businesses, LLCs, I have the range and then the training program. The range time that the training program uses, the range is compensated by free slots. So what this guy does is he comes to class 2 days a week, and then he works 1 day and doesn't get paid. That 1 day of work is covered as 2 days of class. So he's actually getting a whole nother bed of knowledge that the other guys aren't getting because he's working in the gun store for 6 months. And he's seeing that part of it. And that's part of, we get into that degree of detail on the business side. So it's like, for example, in my area, where most of these guys will be working out of, there's my range, my facility, and then there's 2 other facilities owned by the same group of guys down the road. So they have to know how to build relationships with range owners in order to get access to ranges to do their classes, because most ranges also do classes. So my mindset's a little different than other businesses. And it was one of the main things when I opened this place. Most other ranges are, let's just say, less than hospitable to visiting instructors because they view it as competition, which to me is completely ridiculous business thought. Because I remember before I had a facility and I would teach classes and bring them there, when my 5 to 15 students left, there was no less than an additional $1,000 in sales on cleaning equipment, gun bags, whatever, because that was spoken about in the class. And by that point, I built rapport with my students. They trusted me. So it's like, hey, look, you need to get a basic cleaning kit. You need to make sure you have a decent holster. Boom, 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 boom. So they were spending $200-$300 a piece on top of their range fees. So I never understood why they were dicks to me. I'm like, dude, like, first off, concealed carry classes work almost entirely by word of mouth. Like, I'm the only person in my probably state market that puts any money towards marketing. I mean, no one does that. It's a side hustle for 99% of guys. I'm like, no one that comes to my class was ever going to come to your class because they found out about me through word of mouth. So I never understood that issue. So when I opened my place, I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make my place welcoming and hospitable to other instructors for two reasons. One, because that's smart business. And two, it gives me eyes on and awareness of who the shithead instructors are in my market. Because I have a little bit of influence now and I have a little bit of leverage. I can shut people down legitimately for various reasons that are, any market's going to have those concealed carry instructors that are, cutting corners. And I don't mean in a quality way. I don't care if one guy's class is theoretically better or probably actually worse than my class. That's business. Is he following the law? That's all I care about. And there's some, like in our state, it has to be basically an 8 or 9 hour class. And we got guys that are teaching 3 and 4 hour classes. That's a crime. Yep. It's not only just a legal crime, it's a crime against that person because they're going to be the ones standing there holding the bag because they made a decision based on the lack of information you gave them. So I realized that, and then it just I just made my business model where I welcome instructors in, and I've seen the benefits of it. And I call it smart business, but I really think it's karma. I'm not a big religious guy or anything, but I believe if you go through life genuinely attempting to provide value to people in a people way, and you try to bring more to the table than you take, at the end, you'll be ahead. You may not be ahead today, but in the end, you'll be ahead. And most guys play for today, and I don't. And I'm not in prison. I'm not dead, and my business is still open, while some of my other competitors and peers are not. So either I'm wrong, and then when I'm dead, it won't matter, or I'm right. I don't know.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you from the perspective of a guy who does a lot of teaching at places that he doesn't own. I get all the love in the world at the gun clubs. That works out fine. The for-profit ranges that are teaching this one little thing. Well, we teach classes here. Yeah, but I offer all kinds of things that you don't. And yet you're not interested because competition, and yet we have a lot of influence over our students and over what they do and where they end up and what products they do and don't buy. I've always felt that was a little silly, and I always
it's almost always better and more profitable by every metric to work with someone than to work against them, because everything you do to work with someone builds you both, and everything you do to work against someone tears you both down. It's just inefficient action is what it is. Now, some people, hey, you're not going to, hey, that's cool. And to be, I don't like to burn bridges, but when I do, there's no question that bridge was burned, but it takes a good bit. I'll do everything I can to try to really genuinely try to work with people. And that's only because I've seen the benefits of it over the years. And you don't see it that day, month, or year. When you've done something and someone from your past 5 years ago steps up to the plate to help you in a way that you never asked for, you never knew they were capable of, and you weren't expecting. And you ask them, why are you doing this for me? And they say, well, you don't remember in such and such when you did whatever? And I'm like, no, but they did.
Absolutely.
And you hear that enough, you believe it. Did I mute him or did he mute himself?
No, I told him he had to plug his stuff in.
Oh.
Just fixing my cords.
Considering what you do.
Yeah, we're on such a roll, Kent.
I'm sorry. It was very good, but I'm just beeping the boops. Give me a second. TJ, be smart for a minute.
I finally figured out how to read the comments. I'm like looking in the private chat. I'm like, nobody loves me. No one's commenting. And then I come over and like, oh my God.
No, man. We've got a lively chat tonight, guys. So once again, thank you all for tuning in. I know, sadly, I was not able to be here last week, but Kent did a great job holding the fort down. So, Brannon, let's have the obligatory discussion, right? I think we can cover this topic because you seem like a mildly smart
open guy,
gentleman, mildly smart gentleman. And with your experience, having focus, you develop this amazing curriculum to help, veterans and stuff. Myself being a veteran, I certainly appreciate, our brothers and sisters having an outlet with a fantastic firearms training institution. But with all of your experience, I'm really curious, what's your EDC setup looking like? What kind of holster do you like in? What's your gun of choice? Like, what are you dealing with?
Funny you asked that. Actually, if you go to TFB TV, there's like a 20-minute video detailing my EDC. But
it's the shorts, man. James's shorts intimidate me. What can I say?
I can understand that. They intimidate me, honestly. I mean, the man is beautiful. I'm just saying. He's here right now. Oh, that's why I keep looking at my security cameras. They're in there. Looks like they're finishing up shooting some B-roll for some embargoed gun that y'all will probably hear about in a month. But I'm in a transition period, actually. And I mean, not in a government way.
I'm going to say pronouns. What are we talking? What are we doing?
Don't judge. I identify as a Glock 19 person normally because that's how I've pretty much always carried. But that Glock 48 with them shield mags, bro, that's another that hits different. That or right now I'm trying to figure out if I'm buy or try because obviously Glock 19 will always be there, but I'm debating on if I want to go Glock 48 or 365 XL because I really like that 365 XL. So I got one of those and I got a 48 MOS that I'm about to start kind of rotating through only because why not? Like that, it's one of those things like I can't really make an argument why because like you can't really say the Glock 19 is fat. The only thing is I do have kind of, midget sausage fingers. And obviously over the years I've learned to fire a Glock well. I mean, 19 well. But really and truly, and it's one of the things I preach in all my classes is, people come in and say, dumb shit like the gun feels so good in my hands. I'm like, I don't care how it feels. Does it fit? Fit is what you need to be thinking. And the 48 and especially 365 XL fit my slightly smaller hands a little bit better. I'm not really losing any ammo. I'm one of those guys that just kind of roll my eyes and smile when dudes like shoot a mag through a gun and start making comments on it. Like you kissed her with no tongue. How can you even begin to talk about this? Like, what do
it's not it's not wine, people.
Yeah, it's like, come on. It's like, oh, the aromatic woody, like, bitch, it's wine. Like, but yeah, I'm with you. So
it came in a box. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm like, there's box and then there's wine. Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm debating on it, but I've always been a Glock 19 guy. I don't know. I'm the more and more I'm thinking about, but I am a red dot guy. Pretty much, I'm not carrying a gun right now without a red dot on it. That's stupid. It's like choosing to buy a standard car for no specific reason. Like you're not living in the hills, you don't go off road. Like why? Why do you make your life harder? Why are you like that? So definitely red dot. I'm not like a geeky knife guy. I generally I keep like a karambit with an Emerson opener. I think I got the Spyderco right now. Whatever, not the Spyderco. Yeah, this is a Spyderco. And then on my other side, I generally keep one, because I own a store, so we're constantly opening boxes. Always have an ankle gun, generally Glock 26. That's the only reason I'm still lingering to the 19. So of course the mag interchangeability and being a cop, I'm always carrying a 17. So it's like that's hard. Like I'm used to that logic. Right. Always have an ankle med kit on the other kit for the last, 12, 13 years. And then I don't generally do the extra mag thing because again, I got a second gun. If it's bad enough, even in New Orleans, that I think I need an extra mag, I have a rifle within reach. But big on med stuff, big on windlass tourniquet on your person at all. Like if you put on a gun and you don't have a tourniquet, you're fucked up. That's just like your mindset's not mature. Other than that, probably the same as most people. iPhone is life kind of deal. Okay.
So it's been a minute since I've talked to a dude who's carrying an ankle gun.
I have for like 15 years.
Just is it because do you mean on duty or just in everyday life?
Every day of my life. If I put on drawers and leave the house, I put on a gun. I put on an ankle gun. I started as a cop wearing a backup gun, and I swapped between like the vest gun and there was times I had 3 guns on me because I'd have a vest gun, a low gun. when I migrated over to 19, probably 15 plus years ago, I started carrying a 26, and really it was I carried on duty as a backup gun, but I started carrying because at the time I was married, and my ex-wife wasn't the kind of person that would like carry a gun. Like she just wasn't there, but she could shoot. And being a cop, knowing like if something happened and I felt the need to intercede or whatever, I didn't want to, because I would try to separate from her. I didn't want to take the only gun with me. So really I started carrying it off duty for her. If that makes any sense.
No, that is
stuck.
No, I have heard that as one of the number one reasons that people justify for the backup gun. It's not even, we talk about the reliability thing. Of course, all shit can hit the fan, right? Everything breaks. But of the people that I know that I have asked, why do you carry a backup gun? And be it for their wife, or if I'm there with a buddy that I know he shoots, but he doesn't carry a gun usually, whatever have you. If I know that there's another capable person that I am willing to trust to back me up or to help defend other people, that is for them, right? So yeah, it does me good.
My wife, but then also it was probably 70% that and 30% like as a cop, I've gotten in fights with people where I couldn't get to my gun. Like I had one incident where like I had to have a backup. I had to have an ankle gun specifically, and then what ended up happening was I've carried it for so long that like not carrying it feels weird. Like I sleep and take a shower with my watch. Like if I fuck around and the only time I take my watch off is I shave my arms. I do jujitsu. I leave my watch in the shower. Like I will leave and go home because it will fuck with my head all day. Like I'm so used to having it. So I hurt myself pretty bad about a month ago doing jujitsu, and for about a week I couldn't wear anything on my ankles because by the time I pulled the muscle, by the time all the blood flowed to my ankles, like my calf was ridiculous. So like if I tried to wear anything, it was silly. So for about a week, I didn't wear my med kit. That's literally the only period of more than one day in the last 15 years, other than when I was on a cruise, that I haven't worn something on both my ankles. And I'm not a shorts guy. I don't wear shorts. I'm not James. I mean, when James is in your market, you can't even really wear shorts anymore. How are you going to compete? So I don't wear shorts. Like the only time you will see me in shorts is on a boat, on a cruise, or literally standing in the sand. And there's a bag somewhere within my reach that has 2 guns in it. So I always have on pants, and I'm going to carry a med kit on my ankle because to me that makes the most sense. Why would I not utilize the other ankle for something? You got
to balance it out.
Well, and that's the problem is, so what I'm thinking, because I was trying to figure this out, I was like, dude, I can't not carry an ankle gun if I move. I really like the 365 XL. Like it's without getting too deep into it. Most people know like the rake on a Glock, the angle of the grip is different than other guns. So when people talk about the shootability, they have no idea what they're talking about. But other guns are set up more like a 1911 to what we would nowadays call an improper grip. But if you're shooting a totally thumbs forward pronated grip like Scott or people like that would teach, that's what Glocks were designed to do. So people that didn't come up shooting Glock, like it throws them because they're not holding the Glock wrong. They're holding the Glock wrong for Glock. So I don't want to go to a 365 XL and a 365. I think I want to go to a 48 and then maybe like you can't use a 43, but I'm thinking like a 43X on my ankle because now I can interchange the shield mags. Because that shield mag changed everything, dude. Like you talk about a niche company, and a lot of people have asked, like, why doesn't Glock do X, Y, and Z? And when you understand like the back business of the industry, it's like, first off, why would they mess with it if there's a niche company already doing it? It's like,
right.
But man, look, like when you step back and you see how the chess pieces move in the industry from a manufacturer standpoint, like the moves Glock has made, because everyone thinks in their own normalcy bias, right? Like we're Americans, like we think there's other places than America, right? So like Glock has other concerns than, you in your mama's basement with your Cheeto fingers yelling at her to make you a fucking Hot Pocket, right? Like that's the most important thing in your life, but not necessarily Gaston's life. So when that shield mag came out, like that was why didn't Glock do that? I don't know, but it changed shit because until that happened, like the 48 made no sense. It was dumb. That 365 XL was where it's at. When that shield mag came out, you're like, ooh. But that's a niche market. A company that has 4 products.
Yeah.
4 SKUs of product. So it's like,
well, there's even speculation. I think it was Military Arms Channel. Tim's a good dude. I've had the pleasure of meeting him too.
Yeah.
He did a video. Essentially explaining that they went with a 10-round mag so they didn't kill Glock 19 sales.
Wait, well, but they're not, because first off, Glock.
I mean, they're ultimately not, but from your point, the business perspective,
in the United States, Glock survives on military. On law enforcement.
True.
So like me buying a 4080, like that doesn't even register like on their shit, right? Like they're doing 1,500 unit orders to, some PD over here or something. That's their branding. The problem is they are less flexible and adaptable than other companies. And if they don't get their shit straight, yeah, they're always gonna, like, when you get that big and that entrenched, it takes a while. Look at Colt. A Colt 6920 was it. That was the bee's knees, bro.
You mean CZ?
Dude, I would slap you in your face if you walked up to me and tried to give me a Colt. If there's a BCM, a Daniel Defense, a Sons of Liberty Gunworks on the table, I'll be like, do I look poor to you? like I wouldn't even fuck with that. But
there's the T-shirt for the episode, TJ. Do I look poor to you?
Nope. I've already got it.
What's the?
I'm really good for at least 4 T-shirts.
No, we're not gonna spoil it. You gotta wait till the end.
So real quick, Brannon, can I ask you for your like top 4, maybe top 5 Creole Cajun euphemism? Some boys are on here
euphemism
clowning on you about how you say the word sharts instead of shorts. They're saying
I may be saying sharts. That's
okay.
I may be.
They're saying it sounds like you're talking with biscuits in your mouth. Most of these people. Wait, hold on. I got dudes from North Carolina saying you can't talk.
Yeah, I just want to read. And my sister's not my cousin.
The gauntlet has been thrown down, gentlemen.
Ask them dudes at Apache what here and yonder means.
First off, I want to thank them for solving the Apache problem. I mean, all these Apaches now have solutions. They didn't have solutions before. There's all these Apaches walking around going, man, I can't figure this Apache shit out. And now they got solutions.
Oh my God. Dude, that boy Landon sent some shit to me. He said, you're a hooter and a drunk owl. I looked at him. Yeah, no, I am.
I'm about to say, like, no, buddy.
No, this is
it's the eyes, dude. It's the reflection. You look jacked up.
No. Months and months ago, he told me I was hooter and a drunk owl. And I've been looking that up in every dictionary I can find. I don't know what hooter and a drunk owl even means.
Well, I won't list it, but keep going. I'm sure I'll say them as I drink more. As I get more comfortable, my education starts going to the side, and the inner coon ass in me starts to come out. Coon ass is like the Louisiana version of redneck, basically.
Gotcha. And Timmy's reminded me that he refers to you as Proverbs.
Every once in a while, some smart shit comes out this dumb mouth.
Dude, you run a university, for God's sakes.
I mean,
federally acknowledged.
Allegedly.
Right? Oh, my goodness. So I want to get back to the idea of you running a university just real quick, and I want to cover something that is occurring to me. You got to have yourself either one hell of a good software program or some really good staff to handle all that different funding and all those different grants.
Well, we're just getting started.
Yeah.
So this is our first cohort. Like I said, we got 7 guys in it. Right now it's just Excel. And one guy. So it's really kind of like this first cohort is also, and that we was real upfront with him. It's like, look, guy, in fact, their kind of little code name is the Trailblazers, like, because there are things I have already changed. They are in there. This was training day, I think 8. Or this is training day 7. They that we've changed because, again, we had this idea, and that's the thing is you have to be adaptable. And I know what I want. I'm more outcome focused in this regard than I am process focused. Once I establish the process, then we'll be process focused. But we're still figuring that process out. So, like, perfect example. Every program we have or will have has a core 6-week business program. It covers LLCs, insurance, Your basic social, established social. So they've already made videos. They've created social media. How to use Fiverr to get a logo made. Different techniques on what should your URL be, like all of that stuff. I mean, I've got everything from guys who already had a company established and have been running it for a year or two to dudes that didn't even have a laptop before this class. And, they're 55 years old and, don't know what Facebook is. So getting that all done, they've already made multiple videos. So learning just simple stuff about how to take a video with an iPhone, upload it and do it. So, and getting them comfortable with that, because not everyone's comfortable with being on video, even though they have no problem talking in front of 100 live humans. Being on video is a different animal. So I had a curriculum for an outline of what I wanted to do in those 6 classes, and I completely threw it out because I started going through it and started realizing, no, they don't need this. They need this. And we changed it on the fly. So one, I think being honest with them about that, it's like, hey guys, listen, understand, this is the plan, but understand the plan will change. You're part of that. You are part of building this. You're a special group of people that's going through this program. You're the first ones. And I got lucky. I mean, the 7 guys we got are a very good culturally background, everything diverse groups. There's a lot of cross. It was awesome. They're good dudes. Like the work they're putting in on everything. Just today they did their first NRA class. They did their RSO class. We had finished all the business stuff. But like I told them, I was like, look, we finished the 6 business school classes, but that shit's in every class we do. Like, it ain't like you're done doing videos or you're done with social media, In fact, I got one of them, his logo for his company is like, looks like someone threw an abortion against a wall and spray painted it. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So I'm going to go into Fiverr. I'm going to do the job. I'm going to do it. And they're going to see that process. So a lot of it is just, getting them. They don't know. Like the program I said before was basically 6 months of NRA classes. You get a stack of certificates. Good luck, bro. I'm like, how is this guy supposed to start a business? He has no idea how to form an LLC. He doesn't know anything about instructor insurance versus self-defense insurance versus general liability insurance versus property insurance. He doesn't know if he does or doesn't have to pay sales tax. So if he did start a business, he's going to get shut down. Like how is this guy? And that, first group had put probably, 200 students through it in a like 3-year period, 4-year period. To my knowledge, the only ones that have made money off of the firearms industry worked for me in my range, because I was hiring guys out of that program. So I was like, no, some people are going to do it because they just want, like right now, I personally have a little bit of my GI Bill left. And I'm like, all right, how am I going to spend 9 months or whatever I got, right? Like I can't even get another degree. So I was like, what am I going to do with this? So I was like, well, I already teach a lot of trauma stuff. I'll go get my EMT certification. I know that stuff already, but that personal enrichment and that piece of paper sometimes on a business level helps. But I mean, that's it. Other than that, I mean, I don't even look at the VA website, because the one time I looked at it, I was like, what? Like, it's like literally dots. Like it's like, looks like something I would have seen in my high school in 1995. Like, it's not even like a graphic. It's insane. But my guys got to figure out. I'm like, bro, just let me know if you got a problem. Other than that, please don't ever show this to me again. So, delegating stuff to people. And then they also take an active role in it, because while, like I tell them, what's different about it is we break the fourth wall. So there's times I'm teaching them the program, and then I'm teaching them about teaching the program. So it's them understanding that business part. Like for a month, they've been coming and they show up. There's a Keurig with coffee pods and creamers, nice creamers, and all this. So like I just let it go for a month. I didn't say anything, but I've been tracking how much coffee they're drinking. So then I'm using that as a budget experiment to say, there's 7 of you. Do you realize in the last 45 days, when you factor in the cost of the Keurig, the pods, the sugar, the cream, the honey, the nice cups, because I don't want you to burn your hand, XYZ, you realize I've spent $576. Now divide that by 7, multiply that times 12. That's the cost of that. So do you want to provide that for your students? Or so it's like those kind of business calculations that most people don't think about. I want to be a firearms instructor. I got a certificate. Okay. Have you thought about the cost of blue guns? Have you thought about the cost of travel, of hotels, of fuel, of your tires on your truck? Have you thought about the time you're going to take off of work? Because let's be honest, you're not making a living off of being a firearms instructor. So you have a day job. So like those little things that don't get calculated in when you realize this isn't tenable. While there's very few people who are making a living teaching firearms training, there's people who do a great job of it as a side hustle. And I'm not knocking that. But that's a different level when you decide to do this as a business, as your sole or primary, which if it's going to be primary, it kind of has to be sole source of income.
I don't know which Luke this is. I don't know which Luke. I know a couple of Lukes. But Luke says because being an institutional instructor inspires students to become entrepreneur instructors, that's a completely different instructor cert than dudes are offering.
I don't know what he means by that. If he means by being part of an institution and seeing how fucked up it is and being pissed and wanting to do better, like being a cop and
I think that's where he's coming
and realizing why in the fuck is money being spent for me to be here and wanting to do better. Absolutely. I can tell you that's something that I'm one of those guys. I don't golf. I don't, my vices are I've recently, because of the firearms industry, I've gotten into whiskey. I collect cigars. I may smoke 2 a year, but I've got probably 300 of them in a thing. My patient. So when I was on active duty, when I took leave, it was to go to a firearms class. Any job I had when I took vacation, it was to go to a firearms class. Now, again, then I don't have kids. I'm currently not married. When I was married, I had a firearms training business, so it helped. So all my monies and my efforts, kind of double dip, which is not everyone's thing, but that's mine. So, when I look back, like I've been trying to put a number on it, like taking all the classes, looking at all the classes I've taken, like just in course fees and maybe like a rough estimate of ammunition, not counting time or travel or any of that. I'm 40. I'm coming right up on 25 years of doing this, profession. I'm estimating probably about $400,000 in that, but that's part of my business development as well as my recreation. Not everybody's going to do that. And then people have kids and families and, sick relatives. And I get it, but that's kind of what separates some people. Some of success is luck, timing, and circumstance. Not all of it's skill. But everybody's kind of got a different lot in life, so to speak.
I can agree with that for sure. So let me ask you a question from the trainer's perspective. What is it that you think most firearms training programs that are being offered to the everyday civilian could do better? What could the industry improve
Integrity.
on?
Everything comes back to integrity. We could talk about other elements of it, but the core problem, we could talk about the symptoms because those are easy to see. The disease is a lack of integrity. What causes one class to be a complete fuck show and one to be legit? Lack of integrity. The guy either doesn't have the integrity to know he's fucked up or he knows he's fucked up, but he gets that his shenanigans sell. That's what it is. You could argue the lack of integrity is due to lack of maturity, but most guys I think know they're fucked up. That said, I spent a lot of time, at least locally, in the CHP side of things, reaching out to guys and in as polite a way as I can muster, saying, "Hey, dude, you're fucked up, but I'm here to help, and there's 400 other guys behind me here to help." So the question is, do you want help, or do you want 401 adversaries? Because if you're comfortable being fucked up, we're coming for you. If not, you have all of these resources to help you. And most people want to do good. They do. They either get off course or they don't know. There's a saying, don't attribute to malice where simple ignorance will suffice. And most people, they don't know. And
that's some proverb shit right there, Timmy. There's some proverbs.
Yeah, I tell you, and the thing is, back in the day, younger Brannon would fucking go for the throat on everybody. I was like, well, hold on, dude. That may not be maybe the dude just doesn't know. So, I kind of have become like the hitman in my state for like, when someone finds out that he's bad instructors, like I get all the emails about them. Like I have no authority, but like I'll reach out. I'm not scared. So I'll be like, hey man, I'll introduce myself. I'll like, it's gonna be a weird conversation, but XYZ, this is what I saw. First off, is that true? Because you may have gotten bad information. So I never accuse people of things. I ask. Then when they confirm, I say, all right, well, hey, look, I'm just curious. Did you know that bump, bump, bump. So I give them an out. So even if they are lying, I'm giving them a chance to own up. And I've been a cop long enough. I know when someone's fucking lying to me. So it's like, so then at some point, I'd say good 90% of them say, man, I had no idea. Thank you so much for reaching out. And they become a good friend. We have a local Facebook group that has like the most active instructors in our state. It's a really good, productive group. So we invite them in and then boom, things are great. But there's always that 1% to 2%. They're like, fuck you. Who are you to question me? It's like, all right, well, let me change the tone of this conversation. This is who I am. I want you to remember this name. I want you to write it down because it's spelled a little funny. It's Brannon, no D. Last name's LaBeouf, capital B. Remember it. Okay? Remember it. It's probably going to be on the fucking warrant. Have a good day. Because at that point, when you're going to be proud of your malfeasance, now you become a project. And every once in a while, you need a project. You know? But those are few and far between, man. And, you know, I used to spend most of my time trying to fix the wrong. And it was through maturity I realized I could be more productive promoting the right. Look, I'm a Marine, I'm a cop, I like to fucking mix it up, right? So every once in a while I'll have a little side project and I'll fucking slap a retard around, right? But most of my energy is towards promoting the people doing good. Because my goal is not to get rid of all the bad. It's to make more good. So the bad doesn't fucking matter because you're never going to eliminate the bad. That is not anything that works out in life. So if you get sucked into constantly focusing on that, guess what? That's where you're at. And these guys aren't getting what they need. So let me help them. And every once in a while, okay, we'll do a little dojo work and then we'll go back and do this. But that's a shift in mindset, man. All I can say is, I'm 43 and I'm probably slower than most. It took me a while to get to that point of maturity. Of course, I'm still maturing, but some of it is just your priorities change in life when you get older. You just see things from a different perspective, you know?
Yeah, dealing with those.
The dogs want to burn. That was legit funny. Who said that? Jordan. That was legit funny, Jordan. Seriously. I mean, Bobby was saying, maybe the water, let me go to the in the blue. It's my Bobby Boucher impression.
Oh, he's referencing Jordan Spradley.
Yeah.
Mud Dogs and the Bird.
Like I glanced over and that's the comment I saw. It was just funny.
Yeah. Jordan Spradley, by the way, is the guest for next week. So if you want to, you can come on and heckle his ass about long range.
Cute. What's his little company's name?
Yeah, there you go. Go heckle Jordan Spradley. No, he makes stuff for long range shooters.
Oh yeah, see that would be my weakest area.
There we go.
Like,
Well,
put me behind a gun and I can make a shot, but ask me to ask some shit. Nope.
Yeah,
I'm not into that. I'm not that patient. My ADD starts kicking in.
So that's the number one thing that you'd like to fix is integrity. What's the thing that you think most firearms trainers do well? What do you see being done right in most places?
You got to break it up because, of course, not all firearm instructors are created the same. And what I think we have is like most things in life, and it's based on maturity or life experience. You look at like the older cadre of guys. The Tom Givenses, the Dave Spaldings. People like that who have put in a lifetime of doing this. They're at a different level, maturity and mindset wise, than say I'm probably in that middle group. And then you got the younger up and coming guys. A lot of those guys coming out of the military, the guys in their 20s and 30s, they're at different places at different times in history. So like I look at now when I remember, I went through boot camp shooting iron sights on an M16. Guys get out of boot camp now are shooting with ACOGs. Like the Marine Corps just changed their entire marksmanship tape. So it's like it's hard to compare it to. Also, the guys and even my generation, but definitely the generation after me, have available to them the resources of the internet. The entirety of the planet's knowledge is a fucking Google search away. I had to read a book on paper. So it's like, and the benefit, in fact, we was talking, we had a guy recently, William April, who's an instructor, taught a lot. He was a psychologist, taught a lot about interpersonal, the dynamics of violence and things like that. And Will recently passed a few months ago. He's local to me. I mean, he's a good friend of mine. We've been in class together. He's local to me. He would come in my range and, you know, use my place for transfers and all that stuff. And his sister came through sometime after and you know, knew of us. So came and he had a bunch of just shit, right? Like most gun guys do, like boxes of holsters and stuff. And was like, hey, I don't have any use for this. Can y'all sell it? So I wasn't here. And the guys were like, sure. Well, they called me. I was like, what? So when I was like, hey, put it in the classroom. So I went in. It was like a bunch of shit. Well, what was most interesting to me is I'm looking at my bookshelf and there was a stack of Will's books. And to me, that's like of so much more value than like his, you know, Gen 1 X300 from Surefire. You know, like that to me has value. So one of the things we talked about is I actually reached out to his sister this week. One of the things I want to do is, you know, William April, Paul Gomez, Louis Auerbach, you know, guys that in my time frame have passed, Pat Rogers. It's like a certain amount of their knowledge is gone. That's it. It's gone. We live in a world with technology where that doesn't have to happen anymore. Like I want to create, I don't know what the textbook word would be, an anthology or some type of collection of that. So that when a Brannon LaBeouf or Dave Spalding, because I mean he's like 98 fucking years old, you know, passes, there's a place for that knowledge to go. That's there for the rest of eternity. One of the things I started a long time ago is, you know, I'm a big, you know, iPhone guy and computers and stuff. But whenever I take a class as a student, I always bring, I never literally got in trouble in the class, believe it or not, but I take hand notes, and I take more handwritten notes than anybody in the class. And I do it for two reasons. One, of course, I know from adult learning, it kind of helps me retain it more. But also, I don't have kids, but I have nieces and nephews and stuff, and people who follow me. Like, I want there to be a record of what I thought about that at that time. And like, if you look at any of my class notes, I have notes from every class I've ever taken. I have my own little coding, and it's like quotes that'll come to me. Like right now, I have a thing on. I use a program called Evernote to keep notes and stuff. But I'll be sitting in a James Yeager class, and James will say something, and it'll spark a thought in my head, and I'll make a note of a quote that I came up with, and I keep a chronological list of those. And first, like, oh, I'm gonna do 100 of them. Then I'm gonna do some videos. Then I got to like 95. I was like, oh well, I'll do 365. I'm at like 450 right now of things that some of them aren't mine, but things that I've thought of and because that's what it comes down to. When you've been instructing long enough, there's no new information, guys. I know there's new technology and there's new application of that technology, but what differentiates an instructor of two quality instructors, I should say, is how they articulate. I use humor and things like that. Other people don't. Like that's what it is. Like when people ask me about instructors, 95% of instructors should be 90% exactly the same, facsimiles of each other. Then that other 10% should be about a 5% split between just their personality, their humor, their charisma, just how they are. And then about 5% of like their differences on how they view the other 90%. So one instructor may be very dogmatic about an overhand rack on a gun. Another instructor might be very dogmatic about a slingshot. That's at 5% of differentiation. And you've got other instructors who focus on that and make that drama 20% of how they're known, which are the ones we always talk shit about on the internet. I think that's a distraction because I know all these guys personally. They're good dudes and they're very knowledgeable guys. But that, I think, is where it comes into marketing. Guys choose different ways of managing their business. Of course, there's definitely some fucked up instructors out there, but most of those you don't hear about, to be honest. The market takes care of that stuff. There's always going to be people that fall victim to it, but again, you can't focus on that negative group. When you got a chance to slap a dog shitting in your carpet, you do, but you don't follow the dog around the house to wait for it to shit. You focus on doing other stuff. But when the bad stuff catches your attention, you slap them and you move on. You know?
That was another Proverbs Creolism. That was pretty good.
How's it going? I just came to me.
That was really solid. So
but after I've thought about the Rocket Book, I've got one actually, but I don't know how to use it.
Yeah, that's that thing you write the notes on and then it translates them into the computer.
It seems really cool, but the other thing too is so I use Write in the Rain notebooks, and a lot of people don't, and I didn't know this, so I watched a YouTube video, but like you have to use a Write in the Rain pen, otherwise the Write in the Rain function don't work on a Write in the Rain notebook. But I'm looking at my thing right now. I have a 8.5 by 11 that I take class notes in. When we go to the range, I have like a, what is it, 5 by 8, whatever, like it fit a cargo pocket that I take range notes in. Like the instructor course I took with Dave. I mean, I bet you I've got 20 plus, pages of handwritten notes. And it's both like I'll be sitting in the class and think of a product based on something he said. And I have it coded, and I try, because that's the other thing is I really believe in giving credit where something comes from, but you're not going to remember everything. So I do the best I can. Like I said, you're not a good instructor if you're not stealing shit. That's just, you're not trying hard enough.
No, but attribution is certainly key. And then there's, you gotta walk that fine line where you're trying not to sound like a fucking broken record and saying all the time, well, I got this from this person, I got that from that person. You don't want to be that guy. You also don't want to be the guy who's like, never been done before.
Yeah, definitely not that guy, because he's in prison. Well, so don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy.
You would never believe it if you line the bumpy things up. Press this.
No shit. There I was.
Yeah. Don't be that dude. So let's talk for a little bit about the rest of your operation. We've talked a lot about training. We haven't talked a lot about the indoor range and the market there and the gun sales and the ammo shortage and all this crazy stuff that you're going through as a firearms business owner. Talk to me about that a little bit.
So right now, actually, it's plateaued. And again, you got to understand, firearm sales and training are very geographically specific. Like things fluctuate at different rates. I mean, I'm in New Orleans. I'm not in the city technically, but I'm in the center of it. Like I tell people, it's like a Dallas-Fort Worth thing. My business is actually about 300 yards. I can get on top of my building and make rifle shots on what we call the lower Ninth Ward, which is literally the criminal epicenter of New Orleans. It's where the shit goes down. We don't have problems in my business. That's because every single person I hire sits in my office. I hire everybody personally. And they get asked the same questions and the same speech. And what I tell them, what it boils down to is it has everything to do with the way we treat people and the way we act. One of the few things I did get from my formal education is a concept called behavior modification to environmental design. And the way I express it to people, it's like when you go to your grandma's house and she's still got like the plastic on the sofa and all her little figurines and shit. You don't run around and act a fool in your grandma's house because if you fuck around and knock over one of her little figurines and it breaks, you're going to catch an ass whooping. So that environment dictates how you behave based on the cues in that environment. So in my place, for example, and you got to realize my building's old. It's raggedy. This isn't like some new fancy range. This is ghetto as fuck, right? But when I opened it, all the lights are changed to LED, 5,000 Kelvin. So like white light, not like that yellow fluorescent light. It smells good because that's one thing I learned in the Marine Corps. If it smells clean, it's clean. And we wear polos and I have on like some gray Sam's Club slacks that I love and got like 80 pairs of. But when I hire people, I'm like, we don't really have a dress code, but here's the deal. No camouflage, no cargo pants. My intent is when people walk in this door, if it wouldn't be for the guns on the wall, they should feel like they're in Best Buy. That should be the ambiance here. So that's why the 3 largest growing demographics nationally, minorities, specifically Blacks and Hispanics, females, and senior citizens, we fucking slaughter any regional competition.
You slaughter senior citizens?
We don't slaughter them, but we slaughter the market.
Well, every now and then a man needs a project.
Hey, I do what I got to do because a man needs a project, right? But because when women come in here, there's not like camo netting on the ceiling, and it doesn't feel like some dude's man cave. It's inviting, it's clean, it's bright. Same thing. Senior citizens can see, and I'll tell them when people walk in that door, there's only one color I care about, and that's green. If they walk in that door and their money has a dead United States president on it, they're safe, and they are respectful to us and the other people here, they're welcome. If any of those metrics change, they can kindly get the fuck out. And with that being like our ethos, we have no problems. In 7 years of being open, I've had to put my hands on, arrest, or yell at like 4 people. And that was in the very beginning when we opened, because of course at that point you're kind of establishing, expectations. we just don't have those problems. And my guys are all like, I don't hire gun guys typically. I do hire a lot of veterans, and that's for completely selfish reasons, because I'm a veteran and my leadership style is like a veteran. So I'm very direct, and I'm like, hey, grab that shit over here. Bring it here. Like, not everyone's equipped to take direction that way. I don't have time for political correctness shit. So I need people who can communicate like I do. That said, most of them have no gun knowledge that's really relevant to anything here, which is great, because then I tell them anything I need you to know, I can teach you. What I can't teach you is work ethic, attention to detail, and integrity. I can help you develop them, but you have to bring them to the table. I hire for character traits. I don't hire for skill. And because we don't lie to people, we don't bullshit people, we don't do all the stereotypes. I've been over 200 ranges across the country, across the world. I'm not some like savant business guy. I just don't do the shit I didn't like, and I do the shit I liked. So, like, you know, we all have those horror stories of things we've heard in gun stores. That doesn't happen here because I don't allow it. And I'm you know, one of the leaders in my area for like legal stuff. So like when people come in and start saying things, or I heard, or I think, or I thought, or no, we don't do that. If I'm in my office, my door's always open, unless I'm something like today, and I hear someone saying, well, I think the law says, like, they know I will come out that door with the fucking quickness. Pull it up. Show me a cite. Show me a citation right now that says what you just said. Because we don't do that. You know, we don't send people off to the when someone comes to rent a gun and we give them a Glock 19 and ammo, and they look at it like we just handed them a fucking unicorn fetus, and they're like, and we pick up on that. We don't say, hey, keep it pointed down range. Go ahead. No, I've probably given away $200,000 in free training because it's the right thing to do. But you know what? It pays back because they know what you did. And that translates into CHP classes and a private instruction because they know. The thing is, business isn't that difficult. It's the same life rule that applies to every other aspect of life. Don't be a douche. That's it. That's all you need to know. That's it.
So what's your store's policy on pink-handled revolvers?
So I don't care about the pink handle, but probably the greatest transgression I've seen in just the gun industry in general is selling specifically women, typically, a 5-shot J-frame. Like, if I could punch every dude in the throat that did that, I'd quit my business just to do that. Just like I quit my business to just be able to write people who drive in the left lane tickets all day. I would just do that for the rest of my life for free. It's what you've just told me is you have no literal concept of how physics works. So I could almost open another store with just used J-frames because we get into that in our CHP class, of course. And there's always like, I could tell there's always like 2 or 3 women just kind of looking at the ground, like, but at the end of the class and they shoot, they come back and they're like, you're right. So, man, it's just caring about people. It's all it is. It's like, there's nothing wrong with money. I tend to like it, actually. But if you chase the money, you will always be chasing money. If you give a shit about people, the money's going to come. And that's what I look for in people I hire, to be honest. I don't care what they know about. I'd really honestly rather them not know a whole lot about guns. Do they give a fuck? That's it. When someone comes in generally scared, unknowledgeable, really a little apprehensive about buying a gun, and they sense that that person honestly gives a fuck about them and isn't just trying to sell them something, like we all have experienced in various things, dude, that connects with people in a way that like you can't train that into people. When I come out of my office, and they're not stupid, they could see me step out of my office onto the floor, they pick up quickly, I'm the owner, and I spend 45 minutes with a woman explaining to her, or we don't, when I tell people, when I hire guys, I say, hey, we don't sell guns here. We allow people to buy guns. And that's a mindset thing. We're not selling them anything. Because this isn't shoes. This isn't ice cream. You sell someone something because that's what you got. When they needed something else, there could potentially be serious consequences. So we allow people to buy guns. So when someone, I've walked out of my office and looked at a woman, let's be honest, the right answer today is going to be 48, 43 gun, 365 gun, 19 gun, shield gun, something in that vicinity. But I sit there for 45 minutes knowing the answer, but letting her get to it, knowing I don't have the answer in my counter. And she says, all right, well, yeah, I want to get that. I was like, well, I don't have any of those, but so-and-so down the street, I think they may have one. And they look at me like the RCA puppy, like confused. But I want to.
Did you just reference the RCA puppy?
I did.
You have no idea. My son is playing with the RCA puppy upstairs right now. That
when they do a little,
yeah,
totally confused.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm like,
that's some shit.
And they're like, well, can you order it? I was like, yeah, I can order it. You know, before COVID, I can order it. It'll be here in 2 days. But here's the deal. Remember when you came to me and told me it's because, you know, your ex-boyfriend, this and that. I was like, here's the deal. That's 2 days you don't have a gun. Go there now and you can get it. And you see him like totally befuddled that you're like basically refusing a sale. But I just spent 45 minutes as the owner of the business talking them through a conversation I've had thousands of times, and they leave. And then 3 weeks later, they walk in with 4 of their lady friends and point at me and say, that's the guy. And then collectively, they spend $3,500 and leave. Like, that's one example, tangible. Who knows how many times that's happened that I didn't connect those dots? When you give a fuck about people, it connects because we live in a world that generally we don't experience that. I mean, think about any interaction you've had with people where you're like, man, that guy really like helped me out. Like you were genuinely appreciative. I called the guy. I'm doing a lot of prep and stuff right now, and I'm like, I was wanting to buy like a large quantity of honey. I'm in Louisiana. This dude do honey, so I Google it and I call one guy. Don't answer. I get to another guy, and this dude spent like literally 20 minutes on the phone. I couldn't even interrupt him, believe it or not. And he goes, hey, look, call this guy, because this guy was in Baton Rouge about an hour from me. He's like, hey, call this guy. He's in West. So this dude just spent an hour completely educating me about the dynamics of honey, which is fascinating if you didn't know. Only to recommend another guy for me to go spend probably several $100s with. So I listened to him. I wrote it down. I was like, all right, that number. I was like, hey, listen, man, I really appreciate you spending that time with me. And I got that dude's information, but I'm just going to buy it from you. You literally just educated me about this. I had no idea about. I was like, you let me know when you're ready. When, you know, because he was at there's a whole bunch of shit with issues with bees. But I was like, you let me know when you're ready and I'll buy it from you. Like that, because I knew that dude like took an hour of his time to educate me, who was completely ignorant, when he could just say, oh yeah, call this guy. I did it. And I know people do it. I see it in my business every day. It's hard. It sounds all touchy feely, but I'm telling you, man, it's the business.
Well, that radiates throughout other businesses too. You know, being predominantly in the IT industry, it's like I've told you know, I'm at a position in the company that I work for where, you know, I actually have to make, you know, vendor selections, right? Do we want to go with, you know, this product or this product, you know, whatever have you, both kind of do the same thing. There's minute differences here and there, or this is the best product on the planet, you know, whatever it is.
But be honest, doesn't it sometimes comes down to, I don't like that dude. He's a dick.
No, when it comes down, it's not because you in the time frame that you get, you don't always get a chance to actually have people expose themselves for like how malicious they might be,
right?
How evil they might be. But
a good person connects.
It comes down to, I'm like, okay, if all of these products we say can arguably be about the same, we've got some that are great, some that are okay, some that are good enough, but they have like the best product under the sun doesn't have tech support. Like, dude, I'm not buying this from you, so I have to fix it in a month, right? I'm not just buying the product, I'm buying you.
I've stopped doing business with people because they asked me to send them a fax. Now, I'm not technically savvy, dude, and I get it. The lady on the end of the phone, it's not her call, it's not her problem. But I was like, ma'am, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I've seen a fax machine, but I refuse to do business with a company that on jump asked me for a fax. And then you're going to tell me when I say, well, can I email it? And you say we don't have email. And I know that is a goddamn lie. You just don't want to give me the email address. Thank you, but we're done. It's just
no, but it's the same thing, you know. You're buying that person, you're buying that experience with that individual. It's the commerce of relationships.
That's everything. Right? That's everything.
So speaking of the commerce of relationships, this here podcast has a honey connection for you. Apparently,
I see that. Somebody got that. I got a honey plug.
How about that shit? Our next week's guest, once again, coming in clutch with the honey connection.
I don't know. Honey connection.
No,
And
hold
Baton
on,
Rouge.
hold on. It's Jace Brad. So I don't know if Brandon's going to be on the show next week in the peanut gallery talking shit to Jordan.
Oh, I will if I can now.
What's fucked up is Jordan, I'm sure, actually has a honey connection. That's what's scary to
Well, the
me.
guy I called was in Baton Rouge, so we may be talking about the same dude.
I wonder if he wears shorts.
If not, he should. In fact, James just poked his head and he saw me talking. I was like, "Yeah, you're good. It's 10 o'clock here, and they're just now leaving the range." But yeah, and you know, man, it's like I tell guys, like, I'm 43. I'm not old, but I have guys that, you know, cousins and, you know, people that have kids and they want to join the Marine Corps. I know they send me to talk to them, and it's like I'll get to talk to them about women or bits. It's like, look, dude, here's the thing. All that stuff boils down to one thing. Don't be a douche. Because here's the thing. You don't even have to be an awesome guy. You just have to be a C average. Because there's so many douchebags. You will win through attrition. Like, you will seem better.
God, ain't that the truth?
And
Yeah.
I mean, look, when I was a teenager in college and all stuff, like, I was the right poems, bring flowers, like that guy, right? I was like your stereotypical nice guy. And I always was like, I was kind of a late bloomer. And I was like, I wasn't, you know, that was who I was, though. That was actually my personality. And then as I got older and, of course, matured and seemed more, like, what I realized is, first off, women mature substantially faster in every regard than guys do. So then as I got a little older, then I was like, and that's what I tell guys, it's like, look, man, it's hard, but you got to play the long game, bro. Believe me, it pays off better. It pays off a little later, but the payoff's way better. I can show you pictures, bro. Like, I ain't lying. Like, it's legit. And it's the same thing with business. Everything in life, the universe demands consistency. If you're consistently an asshole, that directs a certain thing. If you are consistently a good person, that doesn't mean you're perfect. It doesn't mean you don't make mistakes. It just, if every day you wake up trying to be a better person than you were yesterday, that creates a certain energy. And man, I've had people that have done things for me that defy logic. And I've asked them, because I don't give a fuck. I'm like, why'd you do that? Like, it honestly makes me feel uncomfortable. Like, I don't understand. I'm thankful, but I don't understand why you would do that. Like, you don't owe me anything. Like, why would you do that? And they say, the main thing I hear is, because I know you're just a good guy, which doesn't seem like a big thing. Like, that's not some, you know, grandiose compliment. But when someone says that, it boils down to, like, you encompass everything they consider to be good. Doesn't mean you're perfect. It's just like, you're that standard. And that, I just value that so much. I mean, I've had people drive. The best example I know to give people is when I opened my range, about a week prior to opening, I'm like, you know, scrambling, doing those last minute open things. I've got all this inventory I'm trying to put in a system. And I've never done this before. I'm trying to do all this and figure it out and all this shit. And I had some buddies that had a shop in North Carolina, guerrilla warfare. John and Topher. Topher used to run the social media for High Speed Gear, and, you know, they had their store. So we're talking and stuff. They're like, hey man, we'll come give you a hand. They shut their business down for 3 days, drove from North Carolina to here, spent 20 hours a day just doing shit that I didn't even know how to do to get me ready to open, and then went back home and opened their business. I had never done anything for, like, there was no logical reason for them to make that sacrifice for me. And of course, they're good friends of mine now. And I'm like, I pull them aside. It's like in a very heart-to-heart thing. Like, man, look, I just really need you to be honest with me. Just punch me right in the face. I just need the truth on it. Why did y'all do that? Like, why would, like, honestly, I wouldn't have done that. It wouldn't even occur to me. I'm like, well, you're just a good guy. You're trying to do, we just want to help. And man, it's so, you talk about, people talk about humbling, man, like, you you don't realize the impact you have on people. Like, everyone expects these moments. No, it's a lifetime of moments, which is why, like, if the news said tomorrow, you know, Brandon LaBeouf was video doing X, Y, and Z, there'd be 500 people that would say, nope, it ain't him. I don't need to see shit. It wasn't him. I know him. It wasn't him. They would sacrifice everything they own because I've been consistent. And they would risk it because they trust my consistency that much. That's hard, man. And you don't know that in the moment. You know what I mean? Like, you have to look back on that and be like, oh, okay, now I see why that was that way. But you also see the other side of it too, people who aren't. And there's a pivotal point in every man or person's life where you kind of, there's a maturation of the self where you realize, oh, I get it. So remember when you learn to ride a bike, like you can't figure this shit out, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's it. And then you can ride a bike. Like that, like it's like that, and you can ride a bike. I think that's kind of stages in life. Like you figure shit out at different levels, and you either recognize that for what it is, or you miss the boat. You know.
Absolutely.
Man, this is starting to feel like an episode of the Joe Rogan show. This is getting deep. I like.
I'm not even smoking weed.
I like this shit, man.
I'm not doing DMT.
All right, so here's what we got. Timmy told me to write down some shit, proverbs.
Uh-oh.
So I've got proverbs from tonight's episode. Quotes. Threw an abortion against the wall.
I knew that one was gonna stick.
Right. Well, yeah, the abortion, in fact, would stick if thrown against the wall. Behavior modification through environmental design. I fucking love that one.
That was not mine, though.
That's fine, but it's some shit that a Proverbs guy would say. They should feel like they're in Best Buy. Hire for character, not for skill. Unicorn fetus. Late bloomer. And the universe demands consistency.
I like that one.
I'm going to tell you right now, dude. We usually get 2 or 3 T-shirts a show. You fucking just started up a T-shirt company. Matt Best better be shaking in his shoes because you just started us a T-shirt company just off the shit you said tonight.
Hey,
so
give my 10%. Give my tithings.
Hell yeah.
So speaking of which, the universe demanding the consistency of your good nature. Brandon, one of the things that we like to do in the show, of course, towards the end, as we are coming up on that magical hour, is we like our guests to pick a charity of their choosing. So without any preparation, pick a charity.
Let's go with, I'm going to keep to my roots of the Marine Corps and go with the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society.
Navy Marine Corps Relief Society. I can dig it. All right. So the T-shirt inspired by Brannon.
Time out. And it's not my final answer. I'd like to phone a friend.
Okay.
They get money from active duty Marines. National Law Enforcement Officer Memorial Fund.
National Law Enforcement Officer Memorial Fund.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Final answer?
Final answer.
Okay. So, folks, as you guys know, we like to design T-shirts on the fly, inspired by the guests on the show, something we've kind of started up recently. We take no money and no profit from the sale of these T-shirts. You can visit our store on teespring.com to go see all the different designs, and the charities that are chosen by each of the guests are, of course, going to be listed in the description for each of the videos, respectively. But I am pasting a link into the chat right now. The Nolatac chocolate cake shirt. If you head on over to teespring.com, you can order yours, and your proceeds, the monies from that shirt, will be delivered to Brandon's charity of choice once we gain up enough money to send that payout. So, Brandon, thank you. So, second question and final hot seat question for the evening. What is your recommended reading?
So, I used to do a lot of reading back in the day and writing. Just with life, I've stopped, and I'm looking directly at a stack of books that I order off Amazon. And I'm one of those guys, like when other people recommend it, I'll buy it. So looking right across, and I'm not even saying these are good books, but I'm just 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, The New Jim Crow, Daring Greatly. I have Rob Pincus's training log book, The Gift of Fear by Gavin DeBecker. I don't think anyone needs to read the MLA handbook for writing, but just saying. Those would be The Essential Wooden, which was one of your sports people. I focus nowadays on mindset stuff because, you know, that's kind of where it's at. You're going to derive from it. Another thing I would recommend people is you know, within the gun realm, you know, Tom Givens, Dave Spalding, you know, all these guys got books. What I've started doing, especially if you have kids, is I buy, you know, whatever instructor I'm going to, I buy their book and get them to sign it. Again, just creating a library. I had experience when I was younger. My best friend, his dad was a state trooper and was a very strong father figure to me. And when he passed, they had like this weird attic thing in their house. And we went in it, and his dad had basically created a library, and he would go in there and sit by himself and read. And in all the books, he had written like his notes and margins and dog-eared pages and things like that. And you know, when we were in high school, I was real big into poetry and creative writing and all that stuff. And he gave me one of those books, which was an old poem book. It's like I had to duct tape the spine out, but he had wrote notes. And for some reason, that just stuck with me. Like it was like a moment in time what he was thinking. So, you know, if you have kids or if, you know, you have people you mentor or something like that, take written notes in classes, and any books you read, man, write in them and dog it and highlight. And like, that's your, and use it for yourself. Like you may read a book and go back and 5 years later, be like, I can't believe I thought this, and be aware of your own growth and maturity and yourself intellectually.
I love it, man. I can dig it. So with the last few minutes, Brandon, is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to? Any plugs you want to make? We'll give the floor to you, sir.
Sure. You know, obviously, if you know, the other thing I didn't mention with the veterans thing is if you know anybody who would be eligible for it, veteran or not, that would want to be interested in that, we do like a $300 kind of finder's fee. I haven't quite figured out what to call it yet, but if you refer somebody and they join, they enroll and take the program, we, you know, through our interview process, we kind of figure it's kind of an honor system. We figure out where they got the information from, and you know, do like a $300 finder's fee for them, or to you for them. So, you know, definitely we appreciate spreading the word for that. And like I said, I think it's a business thing, but really it's more of a legacy of really trying to leverage whatever it is I have as far as assets, physical and non-tangible, to take what I think is good about myself and what I've learned and try to spread it to more people through creating more instructors. The biggest thing I would say is just, you know, try to train with as many people as possible. And one thing I started doing decade plus ago is, if there was an instructor I particularly didn't like or didn't agree with, I would prioritize taking their class, because you have to counterpoise yourself against people who you don't agree with, but you have to have the integrity to enter that with an open mind. And that's difficult for people. It was difficult for me to do and learn, because obviously I was a very proud person and very, you know, but you know, if there's someone that you just vehemently disagree with, pay to take their class, go to it and shut your mouth and take the class. And I promise you, you will probably leave with a different perspective about that person than you went into it with. Because the problem with the internet is it gives everyone a voice, and most of those people should probably remain silent. So if you actually go, and one kind of rule I made for myself a long time ago is I try to withhold from talking shit about an instructor until I've taken their class. After I've taken their class, free reign to talk shit about them, because I personally experienced it in real life. And what I found is generally there's not too much shit to talk about somebody, because they were being misrepresented, or you just misunderstood, because we are very good at taking snippets of stuff. Prioritize those people that you think you disagree with. Try not to, you know, definitely if there's someone that the problem is that you have to gain a certain amount of intellectual maturity to be able to decipher the signal to noise ratio. Once you know enough, you can say, okay, I know that I'm not going to agree with that guy. But until then, you need to experience different things, and it's gonna make you better. It's gonna make you a better shooter physically, but more importantly, one of the things, and I'll tell Travis this till the day he fucking dies. I came up with it, not him. Is thinkers before shooters. You have to be able to. Everything about shooting is mental. I could teach a blind monkey to shoot. The physical skills are ridiculously simple. It's the thought process of taking those physical skills and placing them in the context of getting robbed at the ATM, home invasion, whatever the situation is. It's the context that dictates how those physical skills get applied. Something that, you got to learn, I attribute to Chappie, is that everybody's born with a CPU. Some poor motherfuckers are working with a Commodore 64, and some people got an i7. You can't change that. It's what you're born with. But what you can change is whatever processing speed you got, training takes more information and places it into RAM so that processing speed you got can focus on what's most important, which is the shit that's happening right now in front of you that's going to dictate the decision you make. If some of that processing is, okay, I got to hit the ALS, establish my grip. No, that's what training's for. And then training teaches you what to practice. Learn to differentiate training from practice. They're two completely different things. And if you're a cop, your fucking qualification once, maybe twice a year, is in no way, shape, or form training. It is the bare minimum that you should be absolutely embarrassed if you don't max out. It's not training. Your state post is a fucking joke. And if you are not maxing it out literally with your eyes closed, you're not training enough. This is your job, which should be a calling, and your life depends on the low occurrence but ultimate consequence event of you having to actually do it. If you're not committed to that, go work at fucking Best Buy or AutoZone or some shit. We need more cops that understand that difference between a calling and a job. Or not. Maybe more of them need to get fucking killed. Or us need to get killed. We need to thin the fucking herd a little bit. But that's what has to happen. You've got to understand that difference. Otherwise, you're a liability to everybody working around you. I know that went way off topic of what you said, but yeah, that.
No, man. That's one of the reasons we do what we do. So, Brandon, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Kent, why don't you close us out, buddy?
Cool story. Well, listen, man, we say it a lot. The most valuable resource you could give somebody is your time. We appreciate an hour and a half plus of yours. Thank you so very much for that. Those of you who came to the show and watched and participated, jumped in the chat, we really love and appreciate you. Even if you were just here to make short jokes about your friend, it is what it is, right? So that being said, yet another valuable resource of a podcast that we have been able to put out to you entirely for free. God almighty, right? If you want to know where you should be going and who you should be training with and where you should be getting information with, and you're still asking us and you haven't listened to this show, this is a clue. Nobody is on here who I have either not trained with personally or somebody who's been in my house and sat at my dinner table said, dude's a good dude, please have him on your show. That's as far as this goes. There's no third-party good dudism. It's pretty close. Right, it's pretty close-knit. That being said, man, get out there and train with these people. Go to New Orleans, go to North Carolina, go to Ohio, go to Texas. Do this stuff. If you won't go to them, we'll bring them to you if we have to. GreenMountainDefense.com/training is where you can learn about all that, right? Don't have to plug myself too much, but I do have to thank the people that make this show possible because to you, the viewer and listener, it is and will always be free. Thank you to Primary Arms. Thank you to all the folks at Spar Firearms. Thank you to Head Down Firearms. Thank you to Apache Solutions. Thank you to a Modern Samurai Project. Thank you to any and all of our affiliates. If you'd like to know where you can find information on our affiliates, www.greenmountaindefense.com/affiliate-links. You're going to buy gun shit anyway. You might as well buy some gun shit and give us a buck or two because, we need more hats. Thanks for the hat, Justin. This hat, by the way, was delivered to Colioca, Tennessee, 1453 Main Street. That's pretty fucking hilarious. You got the right city, wrong state, all that good stuff. But no, in all seriousness, we really appreciate our sponsors. We appreciate our viewers. If you're interested in, sponsoring or dealing with us, please email me, ken@greenmountaindefense.com. And if you're looking for somewhere to train, there's like 50-some episodes of nothing but trainers. So go read through all that. You will notice that there is a very, very, very common theme amongst all the people that we had on this show. Brandon talked about the cake is the same cake. It's just a slightly different version or a different recipe. We've yet to have anybody on here who advocated for anything crazy or goofy or weird or strange or anything like that. All these quality trainers from all around the country are very similar people. So get involved. Appreciate them. support their businesses, do what you have to do. I've been Kent Howard from Green Mountain Defense. My best friend in the whole wide world is TJ Ramsey, the lead slinging ginger. Thank you so much, Brannon LaBeouf, with no D and a big B.
I mean, it's an average D. Let's be honest. It's nothing. I'm not gonna brag about it, but I'm also not ashamed. It's an average D. It's just not my name.
And that's how we're gonna end off the show. Thanks, everybody. Love you. Appreciate you. Bye.
Take it easy, everybody.